All right, so welcome to lesson 3.9, our last lesson before the review in unit 3. All right, so find the slope of the line that contains the points, right? So to find the slope, right, there's only one line, one and only line that goes through those points, and we're going to subtract our y coordinates and subtract our x coordinates. So this, I'm going to do what? I'm going to do 5 minus 8, and then I'm going to do, since I started with 5, I'm going to do 4 minus 2. And I'm going to get negative 3/2 as my slope. Here, I'll start with the negative 4 and do minus, right, the y coordinates, minus negative 7. Negative 4 minus negative 7, that's negative 4 plus 7, that's 3. And then, so I started with negative 4, so I have to start with negative 1 minus negative 2. Negative 1 minus negative 2 is same as negative 1 plus 2. This is a slope of 3. And positive 3. All right, find the y-intercept. We're going to sort of combine things we've learned today. And so let's look at this first table in number 3. What's the y-intercept? Right? It has to be this one, right? Y-intercepts, right, start with 0. So if the x-coordinate's 0 in a linear function, that's the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is 0, 11. And believe it or not, we're going to find out that the slope of this table, the slope of the line that made this table is negative 3/2, and we'll talk about that. And so we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, and over 2, and we're going to graph linear functions today. And what's the y-intercept in the fourth one? Well, I moved it. It's not the top, but it is the one that starts with 0. And this linear function there has a y-intercept of 0, negative 1. Okay. And by the way, you can see those 2 points are right there, and you can see those 2 points are right there. And so this is the line that's up there, and we're going to see that it has a slope of 3 over 1 and up 3, and looks like this. Now, so notice how quickly I graphed those. I just looked at the table, I looked at the slope and the y-intercept, and I'm good to go. So we're going to combine a whole bunch of stuff we've learned. Okay, so you can look at a table and know that's y equals, that the linear function that made that table is y equals 2x minus 3. Now notice this one doesn't have the y-intercept in the table. Well, that's the harder version. We'll get to at the end of the period. All right, so we're going to find the slope of the linear function from this table. Now we can take any 2 of the points. We have more information than we possibly need. All right, but you could pick the nice easy ones down here instead of dealing with the negatives, right? So you subtract your y coordinates. You pick 2 y coordinates, right? 5, I picked 5 and 3. Since I started with 5, I've got to start with 4 here. So that's 4 minus 3. So the slope is 5 minus 3, 2 over 1. The slope, right, we simplify our fraction, the slope is 2. The slope of the linear function that made that table was 2. And you could do it anywhere. If I do it there, 1 minus negative 1 over 2 minus 1, I will get the same 2, right? Any 2 points next to each other will get you that 2. If you pick 2 that are not next to each other, you'll have to simplify. All right, so now, given what we know, we found the slope. Can you look at it and find the y-intercept? Yeah. So we can look at that table, and now we can write a linear function. Do that. Y equals 2x minus 3. Made every single point in that table. Let's double check that, just so in case some of you are unconvinced. So let's see. When x is 0, 2 times 0 minus 3 equals negative 3. Made that point. Well, let's pick this one over here. 2, when x is 3, our input is 3. 2 times 3 is 6, minus 3. 6 minus 3 is 3. Yeah, made that point. It makes every point on the linear function. So if you can figure out the slope and you can figure out the y-intercept, you can figure out what linear function made a table. So let's try that again. So find the slope, pick any 2 points. All right, so say you picked that and you did the y coordinates, you did 10 minus 16 and got negative 6. That means you have to start, if you start with 10, you got to start with negative 2. Negative 2 minus negative 4. Negative 2 minus negative 4 is negative 2 plus 4, or 2. right, so I didn't give you all the points in a row here because we have to simplify. -6 divided by +3 is the slope there. Okay, so we'll now find the y-intercept. Well, the y-intercept is right there. It's 0, 4. Okay, because if a point starts with an x-coordinate of 0, it's the y-intercept. And so the linear function that made that table was y equals 3x plus 4. And you can put all those points, inputs and outputs in, and it will work out. Right? This is a t table over here, and then this one we just call an input-output table. Notice when you're copying this that the input x is always on the top, and the output is always on the bottom, just like x is always on the left on the t table. All right, so let's find our slope and ignore that ding. So the slope, let's subtract some y's. So let's say I did 5 minus 4, which is 1. So that means I have to start with -4 and do -4 minus -2. -4 minus -2, same as -4 plus 2. -2, the run is never a negative number, so it's -1/2 is the slope. What's the y-intercept? Well, it's 0, 3, right? So write your linear function. Y equals -1/2 x plus 3. We'll make every combination of x and y there. Let's just double check for those who aren't convinced. All right, when x is -4, right, y better come out as 5. Let's see, -1/2 of 4 is 2, so -1/2 times -4 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. When x is -4, y is 5. Okay, so now you're going to put it all together. You're going to draw a little sketch of this. First, find the slope. So if we do 4 minus 3 up there and get 1, that means we have to do -1 minus -2 there, which is the same as -1 plus 2, which is 1. It's 1 over 1. The slope here is 1. The y-intercept is hiding right there at 0, 5. So we start at 0, 5. We do a slope of 1, positive 1, right? That's this one where all the good intersections are good, right? We need our straight edge. And there is our linear function. Oh, sorry, I didn't write the linear function. There's the graph, and the linear function is y, not 1x, right? Now we're not writing 1x plus 5. The linear function is y equals x plus 5, right? Did you put arrows on the end of your linear function? Make sure you did every time, right? Okay, so now we're going to do the harder version. Notice in the table the y-intercept is not there, so we're going to teach you how to do that. All right, so find the slope. It starts the same way. So let's do 7 minus 3, subtract our y-coordinates, then we'll do 3 minus 1. 7 minus 3 is 4, 3 minus 1 is 2, so the slope here is 2 because we simplify. Now, once you get that, we're going to find the y-intercept. We're going to take y equals mx plus b, but realize we now know m, right? So we now know y equals 2x plus b. What we need to find is b. But we know a whole bunch of combinations of an x and y that go together. You can pick any of them. Let's pick the easiest one since this is the first one. So we learned when x is 1, y is 3, right? So let's solve that equation when x is 1, right? 2 times 1 is 2, so I could write that, but I'm going to subtract, right? So how am I going to get b by itself? I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And look what happens. This says b is 1. So I have solved this equation and found out that the slope is 2 and the y-intercept is 1. And the equation that must have made that table is y equals 2x plus 1. Now, let's just make sure you understand. Any point here would work, right? Once you learn the slope is 2, I could put this one in, right? When y is 15 and x is 7, right? That's 14. Subtract 14 from both sides. B is 1, right? And now we have the equation that made all those combinations. All right, so we're going to practice that a bunch. Okay, so every homework problem, you're starting with the slope. Let's avoid the negatives here, right? And do this. 29 minus 20. You can do it whatever way you want. And so you get 9 minus 20 is 9. 10 minus 7 is 3. 9/3 is 3. So the slope is 3. So y equals 3x plus b. Now let's pick any point along there. Let's pick 11, 4. So when x is 4, y is 11. Right? So 3 times 4 is 12, so we subtract 12 from both sides. 11 minus 12 is negative 1. So b here is negative 1. So what was the linear? It says find the slope. We did that. Find the y-intercept. We did that. Well, really, I should have written that. And then what is the linear function? Y equals 3x minus 1. Same thing here. So the slope is, we'll subtract, let's do 8 minus 6. So then we have to do 6 minus 3 to be consistent. Start with that. 8 minus 6 is 2. 6 minus 3 is 3. The slope here is 2/3. So it's y equals 2/3 x plus b. All right, so now let's pick something for x, although any of them will work. All right, so let's pick 3, 6. When x is 3, y is 6. Well, look at that. Isn't that nice? Those cancel out, and you get 6 equals 2 plus b. Subtract 2 from both sides. 4 equals b. So the y-intercept was 0, 4. And the equation was y equals 2/3 x plus b. Now, some of you may have noticed there are patterns, right? I've told you that there are always patterns. If there's patterns in the domain, there's patterns in the range. You can sometimes figure out this y-intercept through patterns, right? We're going 9, 12, 6, 3. The next one has to be 0, right? And then if that's 0, then the next one down here is 4, right? So you could have figured out the y-intercept using patterns. That works sometimes, but other times it's tougher. Look right here, right? 0, y-intercept is right in there. Now you could figure out the pattern here. We're going up by 9 there, right? And so you could figure out what it is, but it's probably slower than doing what we did here. But you can figure out the y-intercept because it's wherever, through patterns, because it's wherever x coordinate is 0 in the pattern. All right, so put it all together. So slope, all right, I'm going to do 12 minus 10. So that means I'm doing negative 4 minus negative 3. 12 minus 10 is 2. Negative 4 minus 3 is negative 4 plus 3, negative 1. So the slope is negative 2. We're solving y equals negative 2x plus b. We'll use the very first point. And so when y is 12, x is negative 4 there. So negative 2 times negative 4 is 8, right? So we have to subtract 8 from both sides. And we get 4 equals b. So the y-intercept is 0, 4. The slope is negative 2 down to and over 1. The function we just are going to draw is y equals 2x plus 4. The line looks like this with a slope of negative 2 and a y-intercept of 0, 4. And please understand that that linear function will make any combination here, right? When x is 10, right, y would be negative 2 times 10, negative 20, plus 4, which is negative 16. So 10 should go down here with some sort of negative 16 on this line, right? There's an infinite amount of points on this line, right? The domain of these that are not horizontal and vertical are all real numbers. Okay, so this looks different, but it's actually the same, right? You had choices with the tables. Now you're not going to have choice. So let's see that. Find the slope. So let's see, we do negative 13 minus negative 9. So that means we have to do 5 minus 3. Negative 13 minus negative 9 is negative 13 plus 9, negative 4. 5 minus 3 is 2. The slope is negative 2. All right, so now we're going to put that, I should have left myself more room, y equals negative 2x plus b. Now you don't have a choice of 5 different points. You have a choice of those, so I'll pick that one. So when y is negative 9, x is 3. And make sure you don't switch these. I've done that in class, and it totally messes you up. And so the x coordinate is 3. Negative 9 equals negative 6 plus b. Add 6 to both sides, and you get negative 3 equals b. So the y-intercept is 0, negative 3. So the linear function was y equals negative 2x minus 3. Right? It's the same as the tables, except it looks different. When x is 3, y is negative 9. When x is 5, y is negative 13. You just don't have all those points, and you can't see the pattern really anymore. Let's practice this. So slope. So let's do negative 4 minus 8 over 1 minus 3. That's negative 12 over negative 2, which is 6, right? We're going to put that into y equals mx plus b. We're going to pick one of the points. I'm going to pick the one without any negatives in it. I'm going to pick that. 8 equals 6 times 3 plus b. 6 times 3 is 18, so I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. Get negative 10 is b, so the y-intercept is 0. Let's not be so quick. 0, negative 10. And the function is y equals 6x minus 10. There's only one linear function that passes through both those points. There is no other one. All right, so you're going to put it all together. This is negative 9 over negative 9, right? Ooh, the slope of 1. All right, so y equals, I'll write 1x just for now. And so let's pick the one without negative. So 2 equals 5 plus b, right? So subtract 5 from both sides. And b, y-intercept is 0, negative 3. So we have 0, negative 3 as our y-intercept. It says the slope is 1. So over 1, up 1, like that. And that is the graph of our linear function. All right, that slide ended abruptly. I'm sorry, I should have put arrows at the end, but my screen messed up. All right, so do this practice. So the slope, so we'll pick any two. We'll do negative 5 minus negative 4 over 3 minus 0. Negative 5 minus negative 4, negative 5 plus 4, which is negative 1 over 3. So slope is negative 1/3. So y equals negative 1/3 x. Oh, and now, what happens on these, sometimes you're so used to solving, and I almost did it, that you would forget, oh, there are some easy ones where they give you the y-intercept. There it is, done, right? If they look for the y-intercept, whenever x is 0, you already have it. You don't have to do all the work. The one on the right doesn't give you the y-intercept. I'm going to do these two just for fun. So make sure you notice, oh, this is a key thing. On these tables, x is always up top, y is on the bottom. So it's upside down from the way you do slope, right? Slope always has y on the top and x on the bottom, right? So these tables can be tricky if you don't remember that. And so then we have to do 4 minus negative 4. So 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 4 minus negative 4 is 8. And the slope here is negative 1/4. All right, so y equals negative 1/4 x plus b. Let's pick something. Let's pick the first one. So y is 5, all right, when x is negative 8. So that cancels. That becomes a 1. That becomes a 2. Two negatives make a positive. So 5 equals 2 plus b. Subtract 2 from both sides. 3 equals b. The y-intercept is 0, 3. And the linear function that made that table was y equals negative 1/4 x plus 3. So the slope is 3 minus negative 1. Those are y coordinates. Then we're going to do 3 minus 5. 3 minus negative 1 is 4. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. The slope here is negative 2. And then the y-intercept, y equals negative 2x plus b. Let's pick 3, 3. All right, just so that we avoid the negative. 3 equals negative 6 plus b. Add 6 to both sides. 9 equals b. Y-intercept is 0, 9. So the y-intercept is 0, 9. The slope is negative 2, down 2 and over 1. Down 2 and over 1. And make sure you graph your line.